In this simulation, we're going to look at the effects of a change in the value of the Chinese yuan. In particular, we're going to look at the effects of an appreciation of the Chinese currency. The procedure is that we first of all need to create a base solution, which I'm going to assume we've already done, and then secondly, we're going to create a scenario 1 solution which assumes different values for the value of the Chinese yuan, which is an exogenous variable in our model. So, if we want to create new values, we can do it as follows. First of all, set the period for which we wish to solve the model. So we're going to set the sample period to 2014-1 to 2021-4. And then we're going to create values for the Chinese yuan in that period. Series CHE_1 indicating scenario 1. That's going to be equal to the original values in the data set, CHE, multiplied by 0.75. Notice that a reduction here constitutes a depreciation of the currency. Now, we need to set the Chinese yuan as an override in the solution. So I'm going to open up the model object, and then I'm going to click on scenarios, and under scenario 1 I'm going to set the override as CHE. Once I've done that, I can now solve the model. So I click on solve, check that the active scenario is scenario 1, and click on OK. Once the model has finished solving, we can look at the effects of the appreciation. To do this, I'm going to look at two variables, real Chinese GDP and real US GDP, so that I can look at the international spillovers of a change in the value of the Chinese currency. I'm going to look at the percentage changes in scenario 1 relative to the baseline scenario solution. So I'm going to type in here show 100 multiplied by CHY_1 divided by CHY_0 minus 1, and 100 multiplied by GDPR_1 divided by GDPR_0 minus 1. These will give me the percentage effects on real Chinese GDP and real US GDP. Hit return, and it gives me the following group object. We note that there are very substantial effects on the Chinese economy, with the maximum effect coming after 12 quarters where Chinese GDP falls by about 4.5%. There's a much smaller but also negative effect on the US economy. And what this probably indicates is that any positive effect of the depreciation of the dollar relative to the Chinese yuan is being offset by the multiplier effects of lower Chinese GDP. So we're still getting a negative effect, at least for many quarters. It does eventually become small and positive, but that takes quite a long time to occur. We can look at the results graphically by going to View, Graph, and then look at multiple graphs here. And this will give us graphs of the two series. The first graph here is the effects on Chinese GDP. We see a very significant negative effect, although by the end of the period it's coming back to close to where it was. And then we've got the effects on US GDP here, again negative with a smaller percentage effect, and again climbing back towards 0 and just above 0 by the end of the period.